So we just want to run through an example of what it's like to dig relatively deeper into an industry and get some very useful insights from this market page. So at the moment, we're currently on the US stock market page, and we were on this in the previous video, but let's say, for example, we want to do a bit of digging. So while we want to stay in the US market, let's say we were interested in the tech industry. So we can simply go to the drop down for industries here, and already we get provided every example that could be relevant to what our search is. Let's say I want to look at the tech sector overall. Now, just like the market page, we're provided with the same summary here, but it's just tailored to the tech sector. So you get that personalized sort of summary, just like you did on the market page. Now, we look at sector valuation and performance as opposed to market valuation and performance. And already, just like the previous page for the US market, we get quite an interesting insight here. This is what we were mentioning about observing the trend and looking at the underlying fundamental performance rather than being distracted by the short-term noise from news outlets. Here we can see that the market valuation or the market cap of the tech sector has increased significantly, while the profitability or the earnings of profitable companies within the tech sector hasn't grown anywhere near as much. So the market cap has grown 562%, whereas underlying earnings for profitable companies in the tech sector has only grown 101% over the last 10 years. Now, obviously that number is excluding unprofitable companies, but it's still a very interesting insight to take away. This could effectively mean is that investor expectations for the future of the tech sectors, future earnings of the tech sector are very high, because while they haven't increased in tandem, this chart represents to us that investors are willing to pay up because they have high expectations for the future. And we can see here as well, while the PE ratio was in the green, basically below the 10-year average for quite a while, since 2016 or 2017 or so, the PE ratio has tended to trade well above the historical average. Valuations recently have been quite elevated, but this is because there's expectations for the tech sector quite. If we scroll down further, we can look at the specific industries within this tech sector. Now we've got software, tech hardware, communications, IT, and such. Again, just like on the market page, we can look at the performance from 7-day all the way through to 5-year for these different industries within the sector. And we can see over the last 5 years, they've all done actually incredibly well. And let's just say you were looking at this tech sector and you wanted to look further into the software sector since it's had such a good 5-year performance, you want to look further into that. So like we mentioned before, you can dive even deeper. So we're at the sector level now, but let's have a look at this particular industry and see what's up. So now we're at the US market, within the US market, we're in the tech sector, we're in the software industry within that sector. Again, we get the same overview, and now we get even more specific data for this particular industry. Same sort of insight, we can see here that the trend has followed along roughly this line, and that the market cap is outpacing the underlying earnings growth, which tends to tell us that the valuations are getting stretched or that earnings expectations for the future are increasing significantly. Now, within this industry, there's two sub-industries, system software and application software. And again, they've both performed very well over the last couple of years, which is quite an interesting insight. In terms of their valuation, you can see that they are quite high compared to the market PE. So here we see a price to earnings ratio of 59 for application software, which is well above the market PE of 18. However, that's accompanied by an expected earnings growth rate of 30%, which helps justify the higher PE because investors are willing to pay up for a high rate of earnings growth. And you can see here that the system software industry, while it isn't as high, it still has a relatively high rate of forecasted earnings growth. And within this industry, we can also then see the particular companies that were the top gainers and losers within this industry. And just like before, we can see the latest news. So if we're interested in investigating this sort of industry, we can see companies here that wouldn't usually show up on our dashboard, but that might provide us some new insights and new opportunities that we can find within this industry. So this is just an example of how deep you can go on the new markets page. And we think it's quite valuable, and the insights provided are really useful. As mentioned, it's currently in beta, and we've already got some new features that are like summaries of the charts that we're planning to add below these in the coming weeks. So keep an eye out for that. And again, if you do have any feedback, please let us know. We'd love to hear from you.